Welcome to the Black Jade Journal channel. This channel is dedicated to the study of African peoples in ancient and modern Asia. I will be your lecturer. My name is Khalifa Abdul Khalid. I'm an African American elementary teacher. I have also lived and taught in the Far East for over 20 years. I have lived and taught in Japan, South Korea, China, Taiwan, and Cambodia. I've also had the good fortune of visiting Hong Kong, Thailand, Singapore, and the island of Guam. This is the Black Jade Journal channel's introductory lecture. That means in this talk I'm going to give you all a broad overview of some of the incredible and enlightening experiences I have had as a black man living in the Far East. Before I get started though, I want to point out to you the link listed at the bottom. This is the link to my website, Black Jade Journal. This website goes more in depth into this topic, give you more information about the history of blacks in Asia, in ancient and modern Asia. So for those of you who want to know more about this topic, please just click the link below. Now let's get started into our talk. Okay, like I said, one of the places I visited was Japan. I lived and taught in Japan for over 10 years. Now, while I was in Japan, I became quite aware of the stereotypes they have about black men in that country. I was quite aware of the stereotypical images they have about black men in Japan. For example, the fact they say, black men have rhythm, we make good dancers. Or they think that all black men enjoy playing basketball. And you guys know some of the other stereotypes people have about black people, especially about black men. Well, they have those stereotypes in Japan. Okay, those stereotypes were very much alive and well in that country. But what I was very curious about, though, was what did Japanese people think of African American women? What kind of image they have about black women? What kind of impression black women were giving them in that country? So I was very curious about that because I didn't know anything about what their perception of black females in Japan. So what I decided to do is I was just going to ask them, just go around to Japanese people, and just ask them, hey, what do you think about black women? Just see what kind of response I was going to give. They was going to give me, what would be their reply. I was really curious about that. So that's what I did. I just went around asking people, Japanese people, hey, what do you think about black women? And the reply that they gave, the response they gave was something I was totally unprepared for. Did not see that coming. It totally surprised me completely. Well, I asked a total of 3 Japanese women, hey, what do you think about black women? And all 3 of these women used the word glamorous in describing black females. Yeah, they all used the word glamorous when describing black females. And I wasn't expecting that at all, That totally surprised me. Yeah, they used the word glamorous when describing black females. And the reason why they did that is because back then, the image they had about black females in the media in Japan. For example, they saw people like Oprah Winfrey, Janet Jackson, Mariah Carey, and Tyra Banks, individuals like that. And those individuals appear to be very glamorous to Japanese females. So that's what the perception they had about black women. They considered them to be very glamorous individuals. Yeah. So, a lot of black females, they are not aware of that in America. They don't know that a lot of Japanese women perceive them as being very glamorous individuals, have very glamorous lives. A lot of females don't know that in America because that type of information is not circulated in America. Okay? American media, Western media, they don't disseminate that type of information to the black population. But I learned that by being able to travel, go to another country, and just ask them myself and see what would be my firsthand experience about that. What would be my experience? What kind of reply they would give me? And I experienced it firsthand. Yeah, all 3 Japanese women used the word glamorous in describing black females. Yeah, so that was one of the enlightening experiences that I have had as a black man living in the Far East. Another thing, okay, like I said, I asked the 3 Japanese women, what do you think about black females? One of those women went further in her description of them. She went into more detail about her impression of black women. And what this woman said is, and I quote, out of all the women in the world, black women are the ones that look the best to me. And in my next life, I want to come back as a black woman. Now that totally blew me away when she said that. Yeah, this Japanese woman said, out of all women in the world, black women are the ones that look the best to her. Can you imagine that? Now, you know, a lot of black females do not know that. A lot of black females, they never heard that type of information before. They did not know that in other countries, in foreign countries, females in those foreign countries perceive them as being very beautiful and very glamorous. Because that type of information is not disseminated by the Western media to the black population in America, or for that matter, for the black population in Africa. Yeah, this woman said, out of all women in the world, she thinks black women are the ones that look the best to her. Now, check this out. Okay, this woman that told me that, she was a Buddhist, okay? Her religion was Buddhism. And so she believed in she's going to have more than one life. So that's why she said, you know, in her next life, she wants to come back as a black woman. Because she believes she had more than one life, and she would be reincarnated again, and she hopes not to be born a Japanese, but be born a black woman. Like I said, a lot of black people, they don't know this. They don't know this type of information. They've been a lot of people in other countries perceive them that way in these foreign countries. Did you know when Malcolm X first left America and went to the Far East, he said that he felt when he left America that he was being let out of prison. The reason that is because once you leave America, you get exposed to a much wider world than what you see in America. The information you get in America is very restricted, very controlled, it's very much filtered. Whereas when you come outside of that environment, that's when you get a totally new perspective on yourself and a totally new perception of the world. Totally new ideas and impressions that you don't get back there in America. Yeah, so that was very enlightening to me. That I talked to 3 Japanese women, and they all said black women are very glamorous to them. And one even said she wants to come back as a black woman because she feels that out of all women in the world, black women are the ones that look the best to her. So yeah, that's I found that very enlightening, you know, and I would not have known that if I hadn't went to Japan myself and asked those people myself. Okay, so I know this really happened because I'm the one who experienced it. Okay, these people, when they relate that information, they were talking to me. I'm the one they were talking to when they said that. So I know this really happened, that they really perceived them that way because I'm the one who witnessed it. Another thing, okay, so like I said, in this lecture, I'm just going to give you guys a broad overview of some of the enlightening experiences I have had as a black man living in the Far East. Here's another experience I had I think you're going to find quite interesting because I sure as hell did. One of the countries, like I said, I lived in was in South Korea. I worked in a school in South Korea called Ujin Elementary School. Okay, so I taught ESL. I was an English teacher at that school. Okay, and I taught grades 1st to 6th grade, just English lessons. I taught the kids English lessons. I was the foreign English teacher at the school. And at this school, sometimes I would browse around in the school library. And one day I was browsing around in the library, and I came across this one book that talked about the early history of man. Okay, I think it was an archaeology or anthropology book, but it talked about the early history of the planet Earth and the early people that occupied this planet Earth. Okay, well, in this book, it states clearly that the first people to occupy this planet were black people, were Africans. And the Africans later migrated around the world, and that's how we got the different races, the different racial groups across this planet. They first started off, the planet was first populated by black people, and black people were the founding population who later migrated to different parts of the world, and that's what gave us the different races. That's what gave us the Chinese, the Korean, the Europeans, the Indians. But they all have a forefather. All of their forefathers were black. Now, this is a book that I found in South Korea, in the public school, in one of the public schools in South Korea, stating that black people were the founding population on this planet Earth, that the first people that occupied this planet were black people. Now, how many schools in America teach their kids that, especially in the black schools? Now, you know, in many of the black schools in America, they don't even teach their own kids that information, that black people were the first people on the planet Earth, and were the forefathers to all the other races. Yet this school in South Korea, this public school in South Korea, had a book in their library teaching the South Korean kids that. They don't even teach that stuff to the black kids in the public schools in America. So that's one of the shocking information that I came across as a foreigner in South Korea. And my job is to disseminate that information to my population, to my people in America. Because a lot of them are not aware of that. A lot of them do not know that in South Korea, they have books saying black people were the first people on the planet Earth. I know they have those books because I was there. I held the book in my hand. I read it with my own two eyes. And so that's one of the incredible informations that I got. That's one of the enlightening informations I got as a black person living in the Far East. Now, if that wasn't enough, okay, to really shake you up, to really shock you, if that wasn't a big surprise to you, there was more to that, okay? Because another place I worked at was in Taiwan. Okay, I worked in a province called Taichung, Taiwan. The school that I worked at was called Fangjia Elementary School. And again, I worked in the same capacity. I was an English teacher working at the elementary school. I was the foreign English teacher, okay, teaching the kids English. One day, like before, I had a lot of free time, and I just started browsing around the school library. And in this library, I read across another book, but this time it was a Chinese book, a book in the public schools in Taiwan, stating black people were the first people on the planet Earth. And this was in Taiwan. Yet again, I'm just shocked. I was surprised to run across that. I wasn't expecting it at all. That totally caught me off guard that I would run across a book in Taiwan stating black people were the first people on the planet Earth. Yet this is what I came across in Taiwan. In a school called Fangjia Elementary School, they have those books. So just think about that, okay? As black people, let us just sit back and think about that. They have books in the public schools in South Korea. They have books in the public schools in Taiwan stating black people were the first people on the planet Earth. Yet that information doesn't get disseminated, doesn't get distributed to black people in America, not even in their own public schools. Many public schools in America do not teach black children that type of information. They do not impart to them that kind of knowledge. Yet you find that knowledge being imparted to the students in Taiwan. You find that kind of knowledge being distributed to the students in South Korea. This is one of the enlightening information I got as a person, as a black person living in the Far East, because I wasn't expecting it at all. That totally knocked the wind out of me. That totally caught me off guard. Yet, this is my experience. This is the type of experience I've had in those countries. Now, like I said, I lived in several countries in the Far East. I lived in Taiwan, Japan, South Korea, China, Cambodia. When I was living and teaching in Japan, I taught in Chiba, Japan. The school I worked at a private international school in Chiba, Japan. Okay. Now at this school, we have a playground period. I believe, if I remember correctly, it was after lunch. After lunch, we take all the kids out to the playground so they can burn off some of that extra energy that they had from eating lunch. When we take the kids to the playground, the foreign teachers usually had a Japanese assistant escort us to help us watch over the kids, because there were so many kids in the classroom. We need an extra pair of eyes to watch over them to make sure they don't hurt themselves and endanger their safety. So we went to the playground. So I went to the playground with my students. These were kindergarten kids, and I had a Japanese assistant there to help to assist me in watching over the kids in the playground. And her job was just to monitor them to make sure they're all safe. This Japanese assistant was only she was a young girl in her 20s. Okay, so one day we were in the playground just watching over the kids. We didn't have too much to do. The only thing we had to do, our only duty was just to monitor the kids to make sure they're safe. So while we were doing that, I decided I was just going to start a little conversation with this girl, just to pass the time. And I figured I'd talk about something that I was interested in, that I had a strong interest and passion for, because I felt that would keep the conversation going if I'm talking about something that I have a strong interest and passion in. So I just told her, out of the blue, I just said, hey, science said the first people on the planet Earth were black and all races descended from the African. I just said that to her just to see what kind of reply she would give me. How would she respond or react to that information?